Hello and warm welcome for joining us today at Sibos 2020. I'm Saloni Shukla and I'm going to host this very interesting session that we have lined up for you today. We have with us a man who has been leading the charge of overhauling the digital landscape in India with his unique capacity of dealing with the banking needs of 500 million Indians. We have with us Mr. Rajnish Kumar, the chairman of State Bank of India. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure for me. And looking forward to an interesting conversation with you.
So to begin with, India has been one of the worst affected countries as far as the pandemic, is concerned. We are all hoping and wishing that normalcy will return in the country. You have in the past several times said that, you have offered uninterrupted banking services for the last 6 to 7 months since the time we have been in lockdown. But going ahead, how do you see, the changing paradigm of the Indian banking?
Right. As you rightly mentioned, Saloni, that this was one of its kind situation which I had never faced in my banking career. And we had all the business continuity plans. But when pandemic happened, then we realized that human BCP was missing. Earlier, all our plans was that if something happens in Mumbai, we can run our operations out of Hyderabad. If something happens in Hyderabad, we can run our operations out of Chennai. But this was a test, and of course, we have rewritten our BCP, and human BCP has become an integral part. We were able to run our operations smoothly on the strength of two major things. Apart from our own staff, of course, who very courageously were attending to their jobs at all the branches. And the second was technology. And the third was, of course, the business correspondence. We have about 20 national level business correspondents, and they manage about 62,000 customer service points for us. So this technology and partnership that enabled the bank to keep its operations running. Now the shift is obviously that yes, the footfall at branches, it has come down, and there is a huge shift in the pattern of transactions. 7 out of 100 transactions only happen at branches now. And the ATM transactions, which again was a very popular mode of transactions in India, that percentage has come down from 55% to 29% in last 3 years. And the digital transactions, and particularly the mobile transactions, they are going up and currently constitute about 55% of the total transaction. And what pandemic has done, that the pace of digitization, the need for contactless banking, that the demand has gone up, and that seems to be now a permanent shift. I think once the people enjoy the convenience of the digital banking, and then everybody will be just asking this question: why do we need to go to the branch?
So I want to take this particular point forward. You have made this point in the past as well that the experience of digital banking is definitely going to stick with customers. But what happened is, we all talk about the demonetization moment where cash was completely pulled out of the system and, digital banking was the only arena available where customers could bank. This is not expected to move the needle so much because, uninterrupted banking services are being provided. But to what extent do you think this will stick with customers?
To what extent what will continue?
Digital banking.
No, digital banking, that is like, as I said, that what pandemic has done is that the pace has gone up. In any case, we were moving to a system where everything was moving towards what we call contactless banking or faceless banking. So be it the transactions or be it the lending banking transactions, the investment transactions, everything is moving to a digital platform. And State Bank of India, you are well aware that in last 3 years, we have built a unique platform under the brand name Yono. You only need one. And for myself, my own experience is that in last 6 months, I have not felt the need for even using my internet banking. Everything I do on the mobile banking using application. And this is the trend with most of the banks where digital is becoming the way in which the banking is done, and it is not limited to the transactions, the lending, and particularly the small loans, which are some sort of a commoditized product. So that lending is also happening on the digital platform. Digital means not only the convenience, but the data analytics which the banks or the lenders are using to analyze the data, and based on that data analytics they are able to underwrite the loans, and pre-approved loans are becoming very popular. So ultimately the question which anybody would ask that, why should I go to a branch? Of course you need to go. Today, say for example, if you want a loan, you need to go to the branch for putting your signatures. That is still the legal requirement, but eventually that will also maybe done away with, and digital signatures would be sufficient. So more and more transactions are shifting away from the branches. The role of the branches in this emerging scenario is all around providing sales and after sales service. The transaction related services will eventually come down to a very negligible percentage.
So before I go on to Yono, I want to first take the branches point forward. Everybody is talking about phygital, and you said that the branches will be, sort of a add-on to what you provide on the digital services. For the longest time, I'm sure you must, it must irk you. Newspapers or TV channels have been writing the death of physical branches and debit cards, so to say. How do you see this then intermingling in the digital world?
Can you just repeat the question, Saloni? I just missed the last part, and you will have to speak a bit louder.
Okay, is this any better, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying that just to take the point of branches forward, now the buzzword has become phygital, physical plus digital. For the longest time, at least, newspapers and TV channels have been writing the death of physical branches. There was some number saying that even debit cards will go away. But how do you see both of these intermingling in this digital world?
No, for a country like India, where physical would remain, and there is still a large segment of population which is not comfortable doing digital. So that percentage will go down, but that will remain. And India is a large country. The population is also huge, and the customer segments also, there is a huge variation and variety. So for a bank like the State Bank of India, which serves the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid to the richest in the country. So for a bank like ours, we definitely need physical presence. And as I said, that the role and the size of the branches will change. Same is the trend with the debit cards. They're very much there. The cards will remain, and as I said, that the size of the population itself and the uh, difference between various segments of the population, that itself means that you need the physical branches. The pace of opening of new branches definitely it has come down. Now we open, say, about 300 to 350 branches. There was one point of time we were opening more than 1,000 branches every year. So that has come down. Debit cards is still, there is a good demand. And every year, State Bank alone we had almost 10 million customers, and new accounts are open. And that is where debit card is still needed. It comes handy in many transactions. But even if it is, say, as I said, that ATM transactions, it has come down from 55% to 29%. But that 29% itself is a huge number as number of transactions. So the country will need everything, in my view. We will need ATMs, we will need branches, we will need customer service points managed by our business correspondents, and the digital and mobile banking, of course, that is the future of the banking. Its growth is happening, and percentages may change, but in absolute terms, there would still be the need and justification for all other channels.
So there is a buzzword in India going on right now, vocal for local. I have been speaking to several of your peers who say that, this whole form of providing banking services is going to take a paradigm shift with smaller merchants, business correspondents, village level entrepreneurs, they becoming the new provider of banking services. How are you seeing this format coming up, in your bank?
No, our delivery channels, as I was mentioning, that the business correspondents, they are playing a very critical role. And we also have plans to increase the number of our customer service points. Currently from 62,000, and it will exceed 75,000 in next 6 months. And the merchant acceptance business, that is a very different thing. And the more and more merchant touch points, either through QR code or very shortly State Bank, we will be launching merchant application, which people will be able to download from the Play Store, and the physical POS machine may not be required. So these are some of the trends which will catch up, and more the merrier, in the sense that if the country is moving to a system where everybody will be on digital and mobile banking, or the mobile, the handset itself will enable you to do almost everything excepting dispensing cash. So that is where the forward movement is happening.
So one large step which your bank has taken to provide banking on your fingertips is the YONO app. You only need one, which you have launched in 2017, and since then, even it has been making profits for the bank, and quite a lot of user interface also on the YONO app. How do you see the progress of that going forward from here?
It has been a very satisfying journey for uh, 3 years ago nobody knew about it, and today everybody knows about it, in the country for sure, but even in the global circles related to banking. Is now a recognized name, and the way we are developing it, it will be a complete platform. And it is one thing which I wanted to share with you, is that it's not a mobile banking application, it is a omni-channel platform. And the people who can or want to avail service, self-service by using their mobile, that's fine. But even if somebody does not have a smart mobile and wants assisted service, so their experience at the branch will also be identical, because we have YONO branch portal, which is identical to YONO mobile banking front end. And already most of the product and services related to retail are available. A few more are coming, and it is a constant process. Then agriculture ecosystem also we have brought on YONO. For the global diaspora, particularly Indian diaspora, we have launched YONO Global in 3 countries, and a few more countries there's a plan to roll out. Then YONO Business, a lot of facilities already developed, particularly relating to the import business, forex business. For exporters, developments are happening, and eventually the blueprint for B2B is also ready. So the way to look at it, that the everything relating to banking and whatever services bank offers, everybody will be done through YONO, and all the other customer service touch points, they will be an extension of YONO and will be a node. The branch will become a node of YONO rather than the other way around. So that is a major paradigm shift which is happening. And the earlier the platform meant only the railway station platform or a bus stand platform, but now we are in the age of platforms.
Sir, it could also be potentially a very big gold mine for you. You recently said that it could be valued as much as $40 billion, much more than any large startup in India. And obviously, because it's making money for you, because some of these other startups are losing money. If you could take us through that long-term plan, and also your recent statement about how you want to hive off this, and offer APIs to maybe small finance banks or rural banks. What is the plan in that direction?
No, there is a very serious thinking going on, and we are in discussion with all our partners that we hive it off as a separate subsidiary. And in once we do that, then even State Bank will become a user or one of the users, and that is where we believe the real value and recognition for YONO will come. But these are all early stage discussions. The valuation which came in one of the conversations which I was having, like I'm having a conversation with you today. So the statement which I made was that if all these startups, if I look at their valuations, and then if I compare, then definitely should be not less than $40 billion. But as of now, we have not done any valuation exercise. But that is what I believe is the potential. And if it is a pure fee-based business, and if we are able to create the capabilities where we can provide plug and play sort of platform for many smaller banks, not the larger banks, then definitely this may prove to be true also. And I may not be way off the mark. But let me tell you, these are all early stage discussions, but serious discussions.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to also bring in your view on artificial intelligence and data analytics. I know you have been using a lot of that in, credit management and, fraud prevention and lending practices as well. If you could, just sort of outline the importance that you see and the benefits that are coming out of using AI and data analytics in all these, convergence of banking, if you could take us through that.
Data analytics, particularly, it enables uh, the bank to do quite a few things. And one of the most important application, of course, is for increasing our business or originate new business, and particularly on the lending side. Today, we have many products which are all based on the data analytics, particularly in the P segment, personal segment loans, where bank offers lot of pre-approved personal loans. Right now, we offer it for new to existing to bank (ETB), and eventually we will be able to offer the pre-approved loans to the new to bank. Similarly, using data analytics and the behavior, we are able to give pre-approved business loans, and all them are becoming very popular. As far as machine learning models or artificial intelligence is concerned, so again they have we have many applications where we use AI models, and it could be some very simple things to complex things. One of the simplest example wherein we started using AI was that earlier, if you wanted to make a payment, and the customer used to select that whether it has to be NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, but not anymore, because the system itself it recognizes that what mode to use. And as a customer, you have to just fill in the amount and pay, and the payment will happen. So the more convenient or simple the application looks, any application for the front end customer, it means that the 10 times more complex is the backend. And that is the power of data analytics and artificial intelligence. And applications is not one field. In almost every field which you mentioned, whether it is fraud prevention, cyber security, anticipating things, consumer behavior. So that is the, again I'm saying that that is the way forward. And any bank or any organization for that matter, if they are not thinking on these lines or not acting on these lines, then their survival would be very, very difficult.
So I want to, also bring in the point on fintechs. Few years ago, there were several questions, posed to you that, would this lead to the death of banking, in the country? Now we have come to a situation, where everybody is intermingling and working as partners. You work with several fintechs. Do you think that now we have come to a situation where, steps are being taken to promote, what they are doing, and then sort of use all those learnings in the banking of our country?
Okay, State Bank from the very beginning, we have adopted collaboration model, and the fintech engagement program. We have a very active program, and we find they do some fantastic work in many fields. Only issue which comes up is around the scaling up. SBI, because the scale is huge and the volumes are large, so at times that becomes a challenge. But otherwise, in terms of innovation, innovative thinking, they are playing a very useful role. But again, for any fintech to grow and achieve a certain level of profitability, it is not an easy task. So from their perspective also, it makes a lot of sense that they enter into a collaboration or partnership with a bank like us, and that is perfectly working fine. And again, very versatile applications or technologies they have developed. A lot of innovation fintechs are bringing, and it is in the interest of the incumbent banks or legacy banks like us that we also think like a fintech or a startup. And that is where I keep on mentioning again and again about being the largest startup from a legacy bank. But there is a room for everyone, and there is a room for collaboration.
So on the new umbrella entity, which the RBI, the guidelines were released just last month, and the deadline is February. You also have plans. You have said that, it's at discussion stage. How do you see that changing the payments and the digital landscape in the country?
No, for anything, you need competition. Competition leads to consumer convenience. Competition leads to innovation. And that is where currently the dependence is only on one entity. That is where Reserve Bank of India is thinking about having more players, which will enable the other players to come in, and that would bring in competition and innovation, which ultimately will benefit the payment system in the country. And that is the thinking. And as you have mentioned that again, we are very seriously considering, and SBI naturally can lead that process by virtue of the fact that we are the largest player in the payment ecosystem in the country. And not today, historically and traditionally, the State Bank has played a very critical role in the development of the payment system or anything new which happens to the in the financial system in the country. And we are uh, actively devoting our time and attention, and we will be in a position to take a firm view within the next few months, but well before February 21, which is the last date for applying to RBI.
So, sir, I wanted to ask you, over and above what is happening right now with the government looking at banks' progress on digital banking and the RBI coming out with its own set of measures to promote digital banking, what more could be done in that arena?
The government has been playing a very active role as far as digitization is concerned. It's not only the banking or the financial services. Wherever we consume government services, I have found that there is an effort to digitize the whole process. And in fact, the infrastructure which has been created for digital banking or the financial services digitization is concerned, it would have not been possible but for the technology stack, which is a very fine example of public-private partnership. We have this gem trinity, which is Jandan account, Aadhaar, and mobile. And Aadhaar is again something very unique for a country of our size. Even NPCI, UPI, the payment interface which NPCI is built up. Again, this is very unique to the country, and all these developments were not possible without the active participation of the government of India and encouragement, as well as the enablers and the forward-looking policies of the Reserve Bank of India. So ultimately, for any success in any field, it is the market participants, it is the regulators, it is the government. And all three, when they participate and participate enthusiastically, you have the desired outcome. And that is what is happening in the country. The government is very focused on digitization. Reserve Bank of India, they are promoting digitization and innovation in a very big way. And so is the case with all the market participants. And that is where we see that uh, India has been quite successful as far as the digitization process is concerned.
So, one final question before I let you go. It's been 3 years at the helm of India's largest lender. Multiple, moves you have taken in the direction of transforming, how SBI, is doing in the arena of digital banking. In fact, you have blurred lines between private and public sector banks. SBI is no longer, better in, several areas, even when it comes to private sector banks. How has been this journey, of 3 years? I'm sure you must be quite overwhelmed with what you have achieved so far.
So it was very challenging and at the same time very enjoyable. And as you have rightly mentioned, that State Bank of India today, uh, either every banking institution is benchmarked against SBI, or if at all people talk about, they talk about SBI and the large private sector banks in one breath. And that has been possible because, of course, I had the advantage of having a fantastic team with me. And maybe the times were challenging, but when the times are challenging, only then we are able to show our best, we are able to put best foot forward. And that is what has precisely happened with the State Bank of India. It has a lot of inherent strengths which are unmatched: the distribution reach, the trust, the number of customers we serve. So that way, those advantages and how do we convert any challenge into opportunity, that is what has happened. But ultimately, the team which I had and the overall environment was probably right for State Bank of India to make the progress in various fields. And I'm happy that I could have some success, but still a long way to go. And it's a more than 210 years organization, one of the most important and iconic institutions in the country. And I am very sure that this bank has a great future ahead and will be able to compete on its own terms.
Best of luck, sir, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for joining us at Sibos 2020.
Thank you, Saloni.